Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran and today's video is gonna be a little bit different. In this video we're not gonna be doing some sort of patch announcement or buffs and nerfs for classes or not another 5.5.1.1 dueling video. Instead, a lot of you guys have been asking me the question of when is patch 8.2 is going to arrive. Now, we have no idea when this patch is gonna be. Blizzard did not state anything so far. But what we can do is make a couple educated guesses based on the information we have. So today is going to be a speculation video of when I think patch 8.2 is going to arrive, and I'm going to give you guys a couple different ballpark windows or maybe one specific date that I heard floating around on Discords and forums, and my reasoning as to why some of those possibilities could be a real thing. First of all, there's three things I want to talk about. One, Classic World of Warcraft. The fact that it's releasing on the 27th is important to the release of patch 8.2. Second, we also had Blizzard release a little bit more information about how the seasonal stuff will work with the patch 8.2. Pretty sure they wouldn't be releasing this if the patch wasn't coming out very soon. And finally, we'll talk a bit more nefarious things that Blizzard could do to knock the wind out of the sails of its competitors. And this one is really nefarious. If you're someone who's a rogue main, I think you'll like the scheming factor behind this idea. First of all, let's talk about World of Warcraft Classic. This game, Classic World of Warcraft Vanilla, is going to be back on August 27th. That means Blizzard needs to find a date for 8.2 to release before everybody is set to flood to Classic, leaving 8.2 BFA basically barren. I think for Blizzard the best choice would be try to keep the player base together. So if you release 8.2 and maybe 2 weeks after you have Classic coming out, you'll have players that are just starting their journey in 8.2. You're in the character, exploring new zones, collecting all the new rep, and then Classic comes in and you'll have people splitting. Some people will go to Classic because it's fun and new. Other players will want to keep grinding the game, keep doing more in BFA. And this could have an effect where you're splitting friends, splitting guildies, splitting people that play together. Some want to play Classic, some want to play BFA. Because of this, the further apart 8.2 and Classic are from the release of one another, the better. Some of the days that I've heard thrown around is mid of August for 8.2, but if mid of August releases and then people start BFA, then 2 weeks later you have Classic, you would have a split in the community. Hypothetical for the situation, we are assuming the BFA, 8.2, and Classic WoW are equally as entertaining, and you don't have anybody choosing one or the other because of any reasons. They look at it in hypothetical version, exactly the same amount of fun, but now you have to choose what do you want to do, what do your friends want to do, and you don't want to do things by yourself. Because of this, we're looking at a date maybe late June, early July, mid-July, late July, but most likely anywhere between late June, mid to early July, probably the most optimal time to release the patch. The second thing we could talk about is the fact that Blizzard actually released some stuff for 8.2. They didn't really release anything amazing. It wasn't a direct announcement saying, hey, this is exactly when this patch comes out. Rather, it talks a bit about how they want to make the patch work. In that statement, they have said that for 8.2, when that releases, there's going to be like a 2-week hiatus for PvP Season 3, Mythic Plus Season 3, and then of course we'll be waiting for a bit before the raid is going to be available. But you'll still be able to do Jaina and Unot in Mythic, and still will be able to get Cutting Edge for that, this time with the brand new essences. So it'll be a period for people to be able to, almost like a pre-patch, but a shorter version, to test how their classes function with some of the essences that they will have access to. Probably like 1 or 2 or 3 at the very beginning of this patch. It's not really important what will be done with the seasons and such. The fact that Blizzard is talking about patch 8.2 and how things will function, I think leads us to believe that this patch is on the horizon. It's happening soon. We know it'll be happening soon, but how soon? Could it be 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away? Any one of those ideas could be a possibility. I still think that Blizzard is going to be telling us a 2-week heads up, like, hey, patch is happening in 2 weeks. Unless they do like a 1 week, which would be the best, honestly. But we know and solidify that the fact that patch is happening soon. But how soon? And this is where we will get into the point 3. Now for this third one, we are going to put our tinfoil hats on. This one is going to be more a nefarious thing. And I'm trying to plan myself in terms of like a corporation, right? Companies, like Blizzard for example. They have a lot of competitors. And what would be a better way than to try to curb one of your competitors? And Blizzard has done this before with other video games. Sometimes they do certain releases of patch updates or information to kind of screw over the hype of some of the other games so they can kind of catch the hype away from them. And they've done this before. Back in Legion, when God of War was released on PlayStation 4, they released some massive drop of all the PTR stuff for, I believe, the Antorus patch, trying to kind of ride the hype wave that is happening with God of War to get people more hyped to WoW so they don't completely forget about that game. You know, kind of knock the wind out of the sails of another company. And Blizzard generally does this with their patch releases. Sometimes they time them to be very coincidence driven. And there is even another MMO that's actually a direct competitor to World of Warcraft that has an event happening very, very soon. They've announced the Final Fantasy XIV, an MMO developed by Square Enix. They have the 3rd expansion coming out very soon as July 2nd. So Blizzard could time this patch release for 8.2 sometime around or before the date of July 2nd to maybe see if they can kind of curb the competition. Let's hypothetically say that maybe what if Blizzard were to release patch 8.2 on a date like June 25th, which is a Tuesday, and a week after June 25th is going to be July the 2nd, the release to Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. What if Blizzard were to release 8.2 on that date of June 25th? Everybody who is a fan of MMOs is going to play it, check out the new content, get invested, start farming reputations, do a couple dungeons, look for guilds maybe, connect with their friends that are also playing. And then July 2nd rolls around. But those players that already started playing WoW feel like there's almost somewhat of time commitment. They've already started with World of Warcraft. And if they swap to another game right now, then they will lose all the progress they've developed so far. All the farming, all the rep, all that readiness for the brand new raid. It's gonna make it harder for people to shift away from one game into another, where one game would have to be starting from scratch, being the Final Fantasy, or a game they've already committed some time, even if it's just a week's worth of time in World of Warcraft. Now, this isn't a guarantee that Blizzard is releasing 25th, but I did hear from forums and Discord servers the date of June 25th floating around. If we don't hear anything about June 25th by the 11th, which is next week, then probably 25th is going to be a dummy date that's probably just thrown out there just to throw people off. But wouldn't that be so sinister? Wouldn't it be so good just to kind of uppercut the competition before they even get started, to really steal the hype away from them before they really get going with the big brand new release of a full-blown expansion? Now, that would be kind of hard to come back from if, let's say, Blizzard were to capture that hype of MMOs and just kind of redirect it for themselves, or even steal a certain few number of people. Will they do it? No idea, but I feel like they definitely should hire me, because I feel like that's one of those predatory practices that game companies have been doing recently. It's not quite as bad as loot boxes, but definitely I feel like would feed into some psyche that has to do with reward structure and commitment in games and all that. I feel like I figure out the code, so maybe if I were to make a game company, I'd probably play by those kind of rules. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments, when do you think the patch 8.2 is gonna come out? It was very fun making this hypothesis video with you guys, giving you guys some of my thoughts. Maybe we might see something happening on the 25th. Another date that's been thrown around is July 12th. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things are gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching this video though. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about patch 8.2? When do you think the release date is gonna be? Let me know your thoughts about my hypothesis, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.